Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Alfred Kinsey promoted the biggest fraud in American history that continues to cause incalculable damage. I am Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel and dean of Liberty University School of Law. Joining me is Matt Barber, director of cultural affairs for Liberty Counsel and associate dean of the law school. Matt, Alfred Kinsey came out with two books regarding human sexuality of the male and then human sexuality of the female. And those books contained information that was based upon fraud, coercion, sexual exploitation, child abuse, pedophilia, rape, incest, all kinds of things. And then that was put in this book, or these books, as though these were normal variants of human life, and it has radically impacted the whole sexual revolution, continues to cause damage today. There's a recent article in Worldnet Daily. You're quoted in that. Also, the lady who is quoted in there is one of the people who was the victim of Kinsey's fraudulent, incestuous, pedophilia kinds of activities.
Yeah, her name is Esther White. That's a pseudonym. And she, Alfred Kinsey, she claims and has provided evidence that Alfred Kinsey paid her father to repeatedly sexually assault her and to record the details of that sexual assault, to time things and provide specifics and details and return those to him to use in his research. He then paid this man for doing that. Gephardt, Dr. Gephardt, who was Kinsey's partner in crime, literally, through the Kinsey research, has acknowledged publicly now that they were working with nursery school owners and operators, working with parents and grandparents to obtain this so-called research for these the Kinsey studies. Now, Alfred Kinsey, Matt, as you know, he said in so many words that his goal was to destroy the Judeo-Christian sexual ethic. He was a Darwinist. He believed that any type of sexual expression, or what he called an outlet, a sexual outlet, was appropriate, whatever the behavior behind that outlet was, including sexual liaisons between adults and children as young as 2 months old. I know it sounds so shocking that our entire academia, sexology, and this whole field is built on Alfred Kinsey's fraudulent research. But that's where we are today. There's pre-Kinsey, there's post-Kinsey, and unfortunately we live in a post-Kinsey era.
We really do. Well, Dr. Judith Reisman has recently issued a book called Sexual Sabotage, which is a very powerful book regarding the Kinsey fraud. It's one of several of her books that she's done, but she's an expert in Alfred Kinsey and the Kinsey Institute. But this article that appears on Worldnet Daily is a stunning expose of this situation with regards to Alfred Kinsey. And this girl, when she was little, the article points out that Alfred Kinsey paid her dad to actually sexually molest her, and then used a stopwatch to time various kinds of sexual activity. And that
she was 7 years old.
She was 7 years old, and that he actually engaged his three sons, I believe, to do the same thing with their children. At any rate, this. You know, if you go to what's called Table 34. Table
34, the children of Table 34.
The children of Table 34. Now, this is from Alfred Kinsey's own book that he released. Table 34 has a table of people, and they rank them by age, and then their sexual activity, and timing them as well in terms of how many episodes that they would have within a certain period of time. And some of those children are children in that table. So you have to ask yourself, how would he have access to information regarding that?
Well, and they all followed the same, filled in the same paperwork with the same columns. They all used the same methodology with stopwatches. And Gephardt, again, has acknowledged that there was collaboration between the Kinsey researchers and these pedophiles that were engaging in these sexual assaults. And Kinsey recorded violent convulsions, crying, as for these children as a positive experience for the kids. He said these were positive expressions of the sexual experience they were going through, literally pushing adult men away, screaming, crying, convulsing, literally going into convulsions. He called that positive. This man, you cannot describe in words how villainous and evil this man and his brood of perverts were in conducting this research. Man, that's strong language, but it's true.
No, I tell you what, it's absolutely stunning. And Kinsey has been cited in Lawrence versus Texas from the U.S. Supreme Court that struck down the Texas sodomy law. And it was cited in Romer versus Evans, which struck down Amendment 2 in Colorado that was a law dealing with sexual orientation. So it is still something that is being cited too.
His research has been cited over 160 plus separate occasions in Supreme Court precedent addressing so-called sexual orientation laws or cases revolving around sexual orientation.
Well, if you go to Worldnet Daily, WND.com, you'll see several stories on this. One is this lengthy expose regarding Kinsey, and it actually has an interview with this woman who was a little girl, 7 years of age, when she was part of this sexual exploitation that Kinsey actually paid her father to actually engage in, and use stopwatches for timing purposes. And by the way, that was not unusual to this woman because he actually did it to others as well. In fact, Judith Reisman points out that he asked rapists and other child molesters to use stopwatches to time their victims as well. Knowing that they were victimizing these people, Kinsey, in his perverted worldview, thought that this wasn't victimization, this was something that was good for everybody. And so he didn't look at this as victimization. He was a pervert from a perverted world, putting all of that fraud into print and then putting it out as though it is scientifically sound.
Unless there be any question as to whether or not Kinsey and his cohorts knew they were breaking the law, one of the worst offenders is a man that they identified as Mr. Green, giving him a pseudonym because they knew it would subject him to potential criminal liability if his actual name were revealed. So they were aiding and abetting and complicit in, and there's even some question as to whether or not they were directly engaging in various illegal activities, sexual crimes at the time themselves. We know, for instance, that the Kinsey Institute has a video or a film library of Kinsey and his staffers engaging together in group sexual activities with their wives and husbands, combining, and many of them all at once at the same time. I mean, this is just some of the off the deep end kind of stuff. Yet the elitist establishments of the world today, the courts, as we mentioned, academia, certainly the media, the mainstream media, the entertainment industry have embraced Kinsey's faux fraudulent research as true, as good, as normal, and this has really injected sexual relativism into our culture, and now we have skyrocketing sexually transmitted disease, teen pregnancy, unwed motherhood through the roof post-Kinsey.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a pervert who would get together with some of his other employees, and they would strip naked and engage in
homosexual behavior.
He would ask one of his co-workers to engage in sexual activity, either sing by themselves or with someone else, in the midst of this room. I mean, this was part of their employment environment. It was absolutely unbelievable. There's also an article in Worldnet Daily about Liberty Counsel. We are looking at the possibility of bringing justice to some of these victims. It's been a long time ago that this happened, but these victims are still victims, and that research, quote unquote, is still being used as a fraudulent way to undermine morality and the foundation of this country and indeed around the world. Call us at Liberty Counsel, 1-800-671-1776. We need your financial support on this and other causes that we are engaged in as we advance religious liberty, the sanctity of human life, and the family. We also solicit your prayers as well. Call us today at 1-800-671-1776. That's 800-671-1776. You can also order the book Same-Sex Marriage, Putting Every Household at Risk. This issue of homosexuality was another fraud that was perpetrated by Kinsey, far inflating the actual numbers of homosexuality. Call us today, 1-800-671-1776.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.